The following program was paid for by the friends and partners of WLMB-TV 40 Toledo.
You want people in your life that are your intimate friends who, you know, they're learning about Jesus, about God, they're knowing Him and they're making Him known. So the overarching goal of their life is to what? Share God's love with everybody. You know, be relational. You have to have friends around you that you want to emulate. If you don't, you will become like them.
Welcome to another episode of Main Street, the fastest half hour in television. I'm Dr. Jamey Schmitz. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Bossa.
Well, thank you, Jamey. We have a great show this week. And you know, Mother's Day is coming up just around the corner, and so we're super excited about that. And so this will be a show that is sure to encourage all you moms, grandmothers, and even you daughters out there. Well, today we have a great show. We have with us speaker and author Michele Howe, and she has written 23 books and published many articles, and just a woman full of wisdom. And today we're going to be talking about her book, Navigating the Friendship Maze, The Search for Authentic Friendship. So, Michele, you know, let's get going. Welcome. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me today. It's really a pleasure.
Great to have you, Michele. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a married mom of 4 adult children. I have 5 grandchildren. My husband and I will be celebrating our 35th wedding anniversary come December, so time has flown.
Congratulations.
But, yeah, thank you, thank you. But I'm an author. I've been reviewing books for probably 35 years, writing books for 30. And I've always been a homeschool mom. We homeschooled our kids through 8th grade, and then they went to Springfield High School. And now they're all on their own, which is challenging at times, but a blessing at others. And again, the older your kids get, when those grandkids come along, it's a great, great thing. Yeah.
Well, wonderful, wonderful. Well, you know, you have been a busy, busy woman, and well, why did you write this book on friendships?
You know, I wrote this book on friendships during a period when I wasn't able to spend much time with my friends. It was 2 summers ago, and every time I tried to get together with my good friends, they were busy or I was busy. We just had scheduling conflicts. And I remember feeling lonely that summer, which I don't feel lonely. And then I feel like the Lord was really telling me, this is why friendships are important to everybody. You can't be a solo Christian. You can't be a solo mom, wife, anything. You need people in your life that are building into your life, that are encouraging you, that are sharpening, you know, your walk with Christ. And so that summer, while it was hard for me, birthed this whole subject of, you know, navigating the friendship maze.
Yeah, you know, some of the things I've been reading in the news is that there's several studies out there that show Americans are more socially isolated than in previous generations. What do you make of this?
Well, the irony is it's social media. You know, people are on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on Snapchat, which I don't really know what that is, Instagram, they're LinkedIn, you know, we have our cell phones, we're texting. All the time, you know, you're interacting all through your day. Every time you get a little beep, beep, or you see that little red insignia, you look at it, but you can't be really in depth with people online. I mean, if Facebook has this place, I mean, I can get on and see what my cousin in Texas is doing, whom we're really close, and I'll get look down his page and see his pictures and kind of know what he's going through, but nothing replaces sitting across from real people. Absolutely. Listening to what they're saying, seeing their body posture and seeing what they're not saying, giving them a hug, holding their hand. Nothing replaces face-to-face interaction with your friends and your family.
So a lot of time is being spent by people scrolling. You know, I saw someone the other day and I looked at them, and like 40 minutes later they were still scrolling Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's 40 minutes you could have actually been having a conversation
Right.
with a real live human being.
Right.
Yeah.
And you notice when you go out to dinner now or get coffee, what's everybody doing?
Looking at their phones.
From elementary age children to the elderly. So I know when my husband and I go out, we make it a pact. We turn off our phones or silence them, and they're put away. That's because we won't talk otherwise. Because, yeah, I can do my work while I'm sitting across from my husband. He can be catching up. But then we're not really communicating, you know. And the sad thing is social media has its place if it's within boundaries. But you have to prioritize real people and real time spent with real people.
Which, that can be difficult, but it can be done.
Yes.
Well, friends, family, and a lifelong marriage, these are all predictors of happiness. And, why do you think that is the case?
Well, God made us as relational beings. We shouldn't be solo people. I mean, I'm an introvert and I need people. Right. I mean, extroverts naturally, they're energized by people. Me, I like one person at a time, go in depth. But boy, I am enriched by spending time with friends. Absolutely. So even if a person wants to be single by choice, or maybe the Lord has not brought the right person into their life, they have to work extra hard, I believe, in making sure that their extended family and their friendships are rich and intimate. Their colleagues are part of their lives, their ministry world, their church family. You have to make sure that you're being friendly and inviting people into your life, whether you're single or you're married. But especially, I think it's a challenge for single people, just because we are busy and we're tired and we work hard. And me, like an introvert, if I was gone all day, I'd probably want to be home alone all evening. But it may not be the best for me, and then I'm not building into other people's lives either.
Yeah. Michele, we've heard you say that one of the primary reasons for writing your book is to talk about enduring friendships. What do enduring friendships look like?
Enduring friendships not only stand the test of time, but they weather every part of your life. You will have occasion where you will have to forgive your friend and they'll have to forgive you. And then the relationship will be stronger.
That's right.
You will disappoint each other. You will inadvertently hurt each other at times. We will sin against each other because we're sinful creatures and we don't always make the right choice. And we're going to have to forgive and move on. And as well as you're going to celebrate together. You're going to have fun together. You're going to laugh together. You might raise a family together. You are going to do all of life together, and that is an enduring friendship.
Wow. And so what is your definition of a biblical friendship?
Well, add all of those components into you're choosing friends who know the Lord, and not just know Him as their Savior, but make Jesus their Lord. You want people in your life that are your intimate friends who, they're learning about Jesus, about God, they're knowing Him and they're making Him known. So the overarching goal of their life is to share God's love with everybody. Be relational. You have to have friends around you that you want to emulate. If you don't, you will become like them. And that's why it's such a serious subject. People often enter into friendships and don't think about the cost.
Right.
We are always influencing or being influenced. And it should be a delicate, teeter-totter going back and forth. I mean, I shouldn't only be influencing you unless I'm ministering to you.
Right.
But that's not the kind of friendship we're talking about here.
A lot of people hear about being equally yoked in marriage, but sometimes that can be in friendships as well,
Yes.
because, like you said, either they're building you up or they're tearing you down.
That's exactly. It should include friendships, and I think sometimes we don't think about that. We might be in a vocational setting with somebody. Let's say we're taking a cooking class, and yeah, you can be friends with people and you can become pretty good friends, but you always have to ask yourself, are they on the same life path as I am? And if they're not, then you need to think twice about bringing them into your closest circle.
Yeah.
That's right.
One of the quotes in your book, you say, all women need a few good friends to love them. Explain a little bit of that to our viewers.
Well, I think we all need 3 types of relationships in the friendship realm. I think that we need someone to mentor us. And a mentor is, what does that word mean? It means somebody who's a little bit farther along in life than you are, who's gone through more, and you go to them and you say, hey, I have a challenge. What did you do when you were my age? What did you do? Or what did you do wrong? Help me work through this. And they're transparent enough to share their triumphs as well as their trials and their mistakes, but you're gleaning their wisdom and their life experience. So you need somebody who will mentor you. Doesn't mean you have to meet every week, but it means you have somebody in your life that's available when you need them. And then the second type of friend is a peer. You need friends that you're right in the trenches of life in the same season. You don't even have to talk. You just look at each other and you get it, and you laugh or you cry, but because you get it. You're struggling with the similar challenges. Kids are the same age. Maybe you're the same area. Maybe you're older, younger, doesn't matter. But wherever you're at, you need people who are getting where you're going through. And then the third type of friend is someone that you pour into, younger. Might be a younger single mom or a divorced mom, or, you know, just a single gal who's really at sea about her life, maybe not feeling good, maybe exhausted and overwhelmed. And you can say, you know what, when I was there, I felt just like you did, but this is what God showed me. And really invest in them and cast a vision of what God is doing in their lives, because they're younger and they don't have as much life experience, and it's easy to become discouraged.
Yeah, in your book you talk about you know, experiences that you had, whether it was mentoring or getting mentored, and encouraged people that if they don't have something like that in their church, because you found that in your church where you were paired up.
Yes.
And so, you know, if there's a church out there, maybe they can start a program like that to help get people linked.
Yeah, that was a great thing. We did that years ago in a church I was in, and they very carefully matched older women with younger women, and they did an excellent job. And I remember the gal that was matched with me, we had so much in common, and we did meet once a month, and she really just took me under her wing and really helped me with my parenting, with marriage challenges, just life goals, and just getting through those tough patches.
You offer some cautions about some certain kinds of friendships. What kind of friendships would you warn us about?
Well, you know, we hear the word toxic all the time, but there are toxic people. There are people who only want to be your friend to use you and just suck you dry. And you know, you have to have boundaries in every relationship in every area of life, but especially with your friendships. You can't be taking a person into your life and assuming that, or they're assuming you're going to be there all in all. You know, they're calling you, they're texting you, they're emailing you at all hours of the day and night, and you have no time for your other friends, other family, your kids, your spouse. And, you know, so you have to be careful. You know, and sometimes those personalities latch on to people very quickly. And, you know, you just have to be wise, you have to be prayerful, because maybe they need a counselor. Maybe they don't need a friend, they need a counselor, so that they can learn how to be a friend. But I always remember what Paul Tripp said. He said, if you watch people long enough, they'll tell you who they are. And that means you watch somebody, and if they're mistreating others, if they're mistreating their spouse or their kids, if they're backbiting, if they're cheaters, if they're disloyal or liars or whatever they are, that bad behavior, if you become friends with them, will be aimed at you. And you know, we always think, our little fantasy mind, well, if I'm really careful and really sensitive not to hit those, you know, hot topics, they won't treat me like that. He said, no, they will. Because your personality, your character traits come out over time. So he said you have to be wise before you become friends with people. And watching people for a bit before you dive in is a good way to do it.
Yeah, and in your book you talk about, you know, friendships are both influenced, you know, and influencing. And so we kind of have to be careful about a friendship that becomes lopsided or, you know, one direction or another.
Right. You know, just like I said earlier, you know, friendship should be like a kid's teeter-totter, where you're both on one end, and, you know, I'm influencing you this week, next week you're influencing me, depending on where we're at in life. But if one of us goes, you know, off the rails, the other person flies off or is always pushed down, and those aren't friendships. Those are ministry, perhaps, opportunities. Those are like teacher, student. Those are different, though, because you're not equal, you're not peers. It's more of an authority change, or you're a counselor and they're a counselee. When you're talking about friendships, you want equality in every area of your friendship.
All right. Well, Michele, this is a great conversation on friendships, and we're going to learn more about that and learn more about some friendships that Michele has had as well when we come back.
The Lord never gives up on me or you. He never gives up on us. Sometimes we give up on ourselves. We get discouraged. Our friends get discouraged when they fail, or they're not sure what the next chapter of life is going to look like. We can be that friend who says, you know what, I know you're struggling. I know you feel kind of paralyzed with fear or anxiety or whatever, but this is what I see for you. This is your gift. This is your strength. This is your talent. Let's find a way for you to use those.
The mission of Dominion Broadcasting WLMB-TV 40 is to provide Christ-centered television of high technical quality and programming excellence to uplift, unite, educate, challenge, and encourage viewers in a manner consistent with the teachings of God's Word. Won't you join us? Please send your gift today and be a part of the ongoing mission of WLMB-TV 40. Thank you.
WLMB's free monthly program guide keeps you informed about your favorite Christ-centered and family-friendly programming found on WLMB. There's something for the whole family to enjoy, from great Bible teachers to classic family favorites. Plus, you'll find family movies, news from a Christian perspective, local shows Main Street and Pastor's Point, excellent don't miss documentaries, and much more. Enjoy quality Christian television on WLMB-TV 40 and sign up for your free monthly program guide today.
Now, back to Main Street.
Well, today we have been talking with Michele Howe, speaker and author, and we've been talking about her book, Navigating the Friendship Maze, the search for authentic friendship. And so, Michele, we want to continue that conversation. You know, what kind of friendships have you personally been drawn to and why?
Well, I'm drawn to people who are both authentic and transparent, because those are the type of people I can learn and grow from and with. You know, if someone meets me and they start posturing and pretending and there's walls up, we really can't get to what really matters in life. And you know what? When I talk to you, I want to know you.
That's right.
I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know what you love and what you hate. I want to know what your struggles are. And I don't mean you'd say that all at one time with people, but you want to grow into a relationship with people that, you know, when I'm having a bad day, I can say, oh, Virginia, I'm really struggling. I need your prayer.
Right.
And you'll say, name it. I'm there for you. You know, so you really want transparency. You want authenticity. You want a person who's genuine, not someone who just wants to say, I have 5,000 Facebook friends, aren't I cool? No, I don't want that. I want people who I'm going to do life with. And I think most people really yearn for that, even if they don't recognize it.
Yeah. How can we consistently add to what you call the goodness of our friends?
Well, I think one way is to really know your friends. Again, know what they love, know what they don't like. You know, there's some people who would really enjoy a surprise party, and there's other friends who would run from it and think, wow, I did not like that. You know, so you get to know the quirks and the upbeat part of your friend and the things they struggle with. So you get to know them, so you can love them. You know, if you're a gift giver, then you know you give in those ways. But I think the bigger thing you can do for somebody is to cast a vision of what Jesus is going to do in their life. You know, the Lord never gives up on me or you. He never gives up on us. Sometimes we give up on ourselves. We get discouraged. Our friends get discouraged when they fail, or they're not sure what the next chapter of life is going to look like. We can be that friend who says, you know what, I know you're struggling. I know you feel kind of paralyzed with fear or anxiety or whatever, but this is what I see for you. This is your gift. This is your strength. This is your talent. Let's find a way for you to use those. And I think that adds great goodness and hope to your friends.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You know, in your book, you also talk about that every woman needs a mentor friend, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'd really like to explore that. What does that look like?
You know, I think you need to look at the people in your life, and it may not be every woman is going to have a mentor friend right now, but you look at somebody who you admire, who you respect, who you've kind of watched, and you go, wow, they're really cool. They even handle the hard times in a way that honors the Lord. And you look for people who have been in the trenches of suffering. You know, they're farther enough along in life that, boy, you can learn from them. And maybe you're not going to go through specifically the same challenges, the same difficulties, but you've seen them suffer, and they've suffered well. You know, that's what I look for in a mentor. And the mentor I had has now passed away, but I have another mentor. You know, so you're not always going to have one mentor. You could have a lot, and God will just bring those people into your life, but be prayerful about it. You know, ask the Lord, I need somebody to invest in me. You know, I'm almost 60 and I need it. You know, we all need it no matter how old we are. And even if you're 80, you find somebody who's 90. Or find somebody who's a few years older. It doesn't matter. But look for people maybe in your church body. Look for them in your women's ministry. Look for them somewhere, but find somebody that you click with.
What would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that people make in friendships?
I think in today's culture and in the church, and it's really sad, is that we are afraid of confronting sin. We're afraid of being accountable to one another. We're afraid that if we have a conversation with a friend who's deeply enmeshed in sin or going down a dangerous path and we're watching it and it's breaking our heart because we love that person, we're afraid to have a conversation because we're afraid they'll get angry, They'll reject us, they'll end the friendship, they'll talk about us, all of the above or any of the above. But you know, God's word is clear that we are to iron and sharpen iron. We are to have accountability one to another. We are not solo Christians. We are a family. So you need a few friends that you feel comfortable in being able to confront lovingly. And I don't mean slamming a hammer down in words and anger, but prayerfully, I mean bathed in prayer. For a while, ask the Lord, how can I talk to her about this? Because it's breaking my heart, it's hurting her, and she has a spiritual blind spot, which we all have. Again, why we need good friends who will say, you got a blind spot there, honey, you know, and talk to you. And it can be lighthearted, but listening to your friends, it's important.
Absolutely. You know, in your book, you do mention a friend that you did some crafts with, and, you know, and she corrected you. And, you know, and it's hard in the moment.
Right.
But then, you know, you reflect on it and you're thanking God for that moment. And you know, you went back to her and you guys, you know, repaired it, or, you know, you thanked her for it actually.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just want to let people know out there that you are authentic in your book and you reflect that and you're very genuine.
So they got into some conflict over when they were doing crafts? Is that what you're saying?
No, there wasn't a conflict. But you know, Michelle.
I remember it clear as day. She was a quilter, and she was teaching me how to quilt, and she was very good. And I remember painstakingly trying to do it. And she said, you know, the last time you were here, you said something about your husband, and it wasn't very kind. And I just want you to know that I've been praying about it. And I went, and I don't even think I remembered what I said, but she did. And she said, you have to change your attitude, and this is what I see. And I accepted it, but inside I was like hurt. And I thought, oh, I was so embarrassed. But then I remember leaving, going home and praying about it, and the Lord really repairing my heart, ministering to my poor little, her feelings, and just saying, your friend did what I wanted her to do. And then the following week when we met, I was able to say, you know what, I had hard 24 hours with that, but I'm so glad you did. And she said, oh, I know, I knew you were going to have a hard 24 hours, but I love you, and I've been down that road, and it's not a good road, and you have to, you know, be positive. And so we worked through it. But I've never forgotten that incident. And it isn't easy to confront people.
But, you know, you respect her more, and you know
Absolutely.
that she's leading you toward the Lord. And as you say, you know, iron sharpens iron.
Right,
So
right.
it was a blessing.
It really was a blessing. But sometimes our feelings do get wounded. But that's when we have to go to the Lord and say, I know that person loves me. I know that person has my back. And I know what she said was said in love.
There's another phrase that you write about in your book, and the phrase is different friends for different seasons. Different friends for different seasons. What did you mean by that phrase?
Well, I look back at my many years now, and I think when I was a young mom, I needed a friend that was a little bit older. I needed somebody who maybe had kids in high school, who could speak life into my life when I was exhausted and didn't think I was ever going to get a full night's sleep again. You know, and the kids were arguing, and it just, we had a lot of commotion going on. So I needed somebody who could breathe life into me and say, you can do this, and here's where God met me. I'm going to meet you right there. And then, you know, I got a little older. My kids are in high school. I needed somebody who was in the empty nest season, where we were fast approaching, to say, hey, we've already been through it. I'll help you through it. You're going to have some rough patches here, but here's what we did, and this is what works. If this doesn't work, you know, don't stuff your emotions. Really helped us just glide through it pretty painlessly. And now, you know, my kids are all grown up. I have grandkids. Well, I need somebody who is older than me who says, you're getting older, honey. You know, the body's not working as well, which are hard things to accept with every season. And she gives us hope, right? She tells us how to age gracefully, to age with courage, and to keep looking for new ministry opportunities, even those kids aren't living at home anymore. So at every stage, you need something different, and you have to be open to it.
Absolutely. Well, you know, what do hardship and suffering tell us about our friendships?
Well, you know, you have friends that might be just good time friends, and then, you know, you might fall into a depression and that friend is gone. And I've seen that happen. It's never happened to me, but I've seen it happen to good friends where the people that they had around them they thought were their best, closest friends were faithful. As soon as they started going through something that was difficult, they were nowhere to be seen. And then they were hurt and grieved because not only are they, let's say, facing cancer, or they're facing the death of an adult child or whatever, a parent, they get to the other side of it, and then that friend that kind of friend that went away starts to pull back into their life, and there has to be some repair work done, because the person who suffered is thinking, where were you? Where were you when I needed you? They don't want to be unkind, but there's a conversation that has to happen. And the people that I've interviewed often say, I was scared that if it happened to you, it could happen to me, and I didn't want to face your pain. So you get both sides, but I think you want friends who are there for you. And no one is comfortable going into a funeral home. No one's comfortable going into a hospice center. No one is comfortable going over to someone's house when they said, you know, I have terminal cancer, but you do it anyway.
That's
you
right.
do unto others as you want done unto you. I want to be surrounded by people who love me, who are going to support me. So I think fear, though it feels real and huge and overwhelming, we have to trust that the Lord will meet us and give us the grace each step we take. But we don't run from our friends when they're hurting. They need us. We need them.
That's right.
That's right. You know, you talk about the importance of friendship. So for those who do not have a good network of friends, what advice can you offer?
You know, I tell people, start at your church family. You should all be in a church. That's biblical. And I know people do church at home, but it's not biblical, because we need to be together using all of our gifts to strengthen one another and to be reaching the world. So you start with your church family, and if you're new into town, you go to a women's ministry leader, you go to your pastor and you say, I need some friends. I need some good godly friends. Point me to some people who might be open to starting a small group with me. Secondly, you be the friend you want to be. Be friendly. I've seen too many women say, well, no one talks to me. And I say, well, did you go talk to them? Did you introduce yourself to them? Did you invite them out for dinner, to your home for coffee? No. I'm like, well, you have to be the friend that you want others to be toward you. And then you look perfectly around your ministry that you're involved in. Those are usually perfect matches for friends, because you already have a common interest. Or your work or your leisure activities. You look around your neighborhood. I mean, if you pray earnestly, the Lord will provide friends. You know, those are good things in our lives, and He's faithful to do that for us.
That's good. That's a good word. Michele, how can people find out more about you, your 23 books, and also talk to you about maybe coming and speaking to their group or organization?
Well, I am on social media, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that.
Don't spend too much time
Although don't
there.
spend too much time, dip in and dip out. But you can find me at michelehowe@wordpress.com, and I always interact with anybody who reaches me, so that would be a pleasure.
Well, wonderful. You have so much wisdom. You know, I would love for you to leave a closing comment or challenge for our viewers.
Well, my encouragement is this. If you don't have friends in your life now that you would call authentic and genuine friends, spend time in prayer today and ask the Lord to do a miracle and bring you some. And don't give up. You know, I keep looking. Don't be content with mediocre friendships. Don't be content not to have friendships, but see that as an integral part of your life.
Michele, thank you for visiting us on Main Street. Will you come back and visit us another time?
I sure will. Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
Very good.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for joining us this week on Main Street. Be sure to join us next week for another great episode. And happy Mother's Day.
We hope that Main Street has been a blessing to you today. Please feel free to contact the following to learn more about the topics discussed on today's show. WLMB would like to thank all the faithful supporters of WLMB that make this program possible. Main Street is a production of WLMB-TV 40 in Toledo. All rights reserved.